This is the instructional how-to video for the Dragon food truck. I'm going to go over the operations of your brand new concession trailer, show you how everything works, and then show you the proper ways of shutting down. I'm going to start off with the generator. Although I'm not going to run the generator in this video, I'm going to show you how it starts up, how to operate it, and then how to shut it down. So, first thing you'd want to do is turn the fuel pit cock, following these directions, straight up and down, turns the fuel on. Always make sure you got good clean fuel in. Check your oil level each and every time. Yellow dipstick located here. If needing to add oil, it's going to tell you 10W30, and you can fill through this port right here. Definitely want to read the instructions or instruction manual for proper maintenance and oil changes. So with this in the off position, you would plug your trailer into this portal here, this plug. Once plugged in, pull the choke, hit your start. At this point, then you would flip your breaker on, feeding power into the trailer. You need to turn that back off to run the fuel out of the generator carburetor itself. Again, they keep that in the off position. I'll come back to the generator here momentarily. Back to the generator. Once you do turn the fuel pit cock off, of course this needs to be in the off position. Let the unit run out of the fuel and then turn to the off position. What that is running the fuel out of the carburetor so that nothing could stay in the stuck open place or flood the unit. Flip up counters, I've got them in a 90-degree as far as them being up, set up. You've got the little mechanism on this side, the other mechanisms on the inside. So after the 90 degrees, pressing upward allows those little cambers to unroll where it'd be into a down position. Same thing going back up, pressing upward past the 90 degree allows them cambers to go to a locked position. So for turning the gas on itself, you want to make sure all of these are in the off position, as well as the deep fryer itself, before you ever turn the gas on. You have your exhaust fan switch located here. As you can see, the light's on itself. Once you know that all of those pieces of equipment are in the off position, exhaust fan on, you can turn the gas on, pressurizing the hose all the way to the shutoff valve. Now the most important thing before you ever turn the gas on, and in which case it's on at this moment, you can't hear gas coming through here at this moment. System sealed. There's so minute of gas coming out of the pilot lights that you cannot hear it. However, if when we turned this gas valve on, if you heard continuous gas flow coming through this regulator on the driver's side or the one on the passenger side, whichever tank you're using, you'd want to immediately shut the valve off. Immediately shut it off and contact your local gas company to come out and inspect the piping. I say that because this piping runs down below the trailer, hugs the frame of the trailer itself. What can happen is road debris such as tires, blocks of wood, rocks, anything going down the road that could hit this metal piping can damage, if not break it. And if you were to find a leak on initial startup is when you would find it, because you would have continuous gas flow coming through this regulator. And again, if you hear that, you immediately shut it off. You should hear nothing more than the line charge itself, which is shh, and that's it. You hear any more than that, turn it off. Again, safety first. Propane is highly explosive and highly dangerous, highly flammable. However you want to look at it, is very, very dangerous. So, with that being said, you'll need plenty of lighters like this for lighting purposes. And as you see, the pilot's going right now. You just put the lighter in between those two. And once the pilots are lit, then you have full access to control those burners to the desired temp that you choose. Never force light any of this equipment. Force lighting, never turn these on unless those pilots are lit. Doing that can cause a very big combustion, somewhat explosion, I guess you could say, and it would be very dangerous. And it's no different for these burners here on your cooktop. You want to have these lighter, you want to light that pilot behind each, and it's at the back side of each and every one of them. And once you have those lit, then you can turn those burners on. Now, due to excessive heat, this metal baling wire, which is wrapped around the burners and the frame, will need to be changed because it'll break. Just make sure you put more metal wire. Again, this is baling wire you can get at any hardware store. Wrap around with a pair of pliers, cut off the excess, fold it over. You do not have to remove it. It's there for safety purposes. The only time you will replace it is once it breaks due to excessive heat. There is a drip pan that you will need to monitor on both the 4-burner as well as the charbroiler. There is also a bag of lava rock in the fridge for the charbroiler itself. As we come over to the deep fryer, it's going to be a little bit different of a concept. I'll go ahead and show you how it operates, and then I'll explain how to light it. So you can see your thermopile lit. This is in the on position. However, this is in the off position. But for lighting purposes, you always have to use 2 hands. That's why I go ahead and light the equipment ahead of time, especially because of deep fryers. So I always start off with, as you'll see, off position. There's no flame with the thermopile. Do that twice to make sure this thermostat connects with this gas valve. At that point, then you take and rotate to where the L meets the red dot and allows you to push in. You hold here and administer fire to your thermopile. Once the thermopile is lit, you will continue to hold this pilot button in for 10 to 15 seconds. Once you can slowly release this button and keep that thermopile lit, at that point, then you can rotate to the on position, and when desired to do so, you can operate your thermostat to the desired temp. Again, just make sure that you turn everything back to the off position once the day is finished. In the fridge, there is paperwork for the fryer that's got a drain tube that threads into here. It allows you to open up and dump the contents out of the vat before transportation each and every time. There is NSF approved containers that you can dump the hot oil in before transport. You cannot transport with oil in that vat. It will splash everywhere pretty much. Before we continue on, I'm going to go ahead and turn the gas off as it is not needed. Again, turning not only the gas valve but also the shut-off valve itself. And again, back up to the regulator, whichever side you're using. Once you turn that tank on, charging this line, as long as you know that your equipment's in the off position, your hood fan's in the on position, when you turn this on, nothing more than shh, we heard continuous gas flow coming through here, we immediately shut this valve off. Regardless of what side it is, whichever line you're pressurizing, whether it's the driver's side or the passenger side, if you hear continuous gas flow, you have to turn this off. Do not assume anything. It will not fix itself. Have a local gas plumber come out and inspect the piping. It's too critical. Now, that being said, I'll go ahead and turn the exhaust fan off because we have no more gas coming into the trailer. Now, the other point to the hood fan being on is behind these filters is heat sensors. If it gets over a certain degree, those sensors will pop, but everything that's in the red tank on the other side of the fridge will come emitting out of these nozzles, make a large mess, cost you thousands of dollars to clean up, and you'll be shut down for 2 weeks. So again, the hood system needs to be on when gas is on for that reason, plus also when the equipment's running. Regardless of how cold or hot it is outside, the hood fan needs to be on when the cooking equipment is going, when the gas is on. Also, as you see, these filters are removable. You will need to clean these on a daily regimen. I would recommend, depending on how much cooking you're doing, hot water, soap, you'll be able to thoroughly wash them, rinse them, allow adequate time for them to air dry before going back into operation. You want to keep the gaps to a minimal, as you see here. You do not want gaps like this. You will have grease blow-by that goes up into the fan. You will need to have your fan periodically checked once a quarter to make sure operation is good, and also no grease up in top. What grease does not collect in the filters could go to this drip tray and the drip cup that needs to be monitored daily as well. That is your fire suppression tank. That is the control head. You'll need to have it tagged and certified by your local fire suppression company and fire marshal. I'll go ahead and show you the plug operation. Fridge down to 35 degrees. So as mentioned, lava rock, bottom shelf, deep fryer legs, and also the drain tube, as mentioned, that threads in. Paperwork for the fryer, battery charger, generator, the 4-burner hot plate, the charbroiler, the fire suppressor system, the AC unit. Definitely take the time. There's also the manual for the fridge at the very bottom. Definitely take the time to read over the manuals for proper maintenance, cleaning, to have long-lasting life of your equipment. Also, as long as you have plenty of power, you can have your AC unit running. Say that, generator's plenty powerful, but there's couple of plugs. I have no clue what might be plugged into them that you might need to be running. Also, your light switches behind your fridge, inside and outside, all right here. I do want to go ahead and show the water. So before I ever plug the hot water heater in, I made sure I had continuous water flow. As you see here, that's continuous water flow coming out of the hot water faucet on both faucets, plus the cold as well. Simple process, ensures there's no air in that hot water heater. That way you plug it in and you'll have, as we see here, 119 plus degrees, over 120 hot water, plenty enough to burn you. but also get the job done for cleaning purposes. Definitely the doors help for cleaning chemicals. Water pump switch located here. So for running the water pump, you have your fresh water tank itself, that you can pump in water here with the food grade water hose. As you'll see, your water level in both tanks for filling the fresh water tanks. Or if if you need to put any bleach or sanitizer, you can do so through this port. So this is the non-pressure side. Now, if you are provided water, as indicated here, you can bypass the tank and pump, directly hook in your food grade water hose into this port, and you have pressurized water that you do not need to worry about the tank and pump. So it's a either or. You can choose whichever one you want. Again, your 100 amp panel, all 20 amp independent circuits. Outside of that panel is your 25-foot power cord that has a NEMA 1450 style plug that's plugged into my shore power itself due to noise. We have our battery charger for the 12-volt lighting system. We have our battery for the 12-volt system as well. Water pump located here. We also have the winterization valve here. You see the blowout port. Definitely there'll be another video to watch and keep watch on for the winterization when it gets cold. Water heater located here, and that's where you plug the water heater in. Now for your wastewater, once you remove that cap, hook up your 3-inch RV waste hose, you can pull this drain and all the contents will flow out as you see here. And once that is finished, definitely be able to shut that valve, remove the hose, put the cap back in place. Make sure that you have an approved area for dumping the wastewater per your codes. So go back inside, a few points just to make sure, at the end of the day, make sure that you turn the AC unit off. A lot of people do forget the AC units themselves. That's a big power draw, as well as the hood fan is a very big power draw put on a generator on the initial startup. So highly recommended. AC off, hood system off, because the gas is going to be off as well. Anything else that's plugged in, that's loose items, make sure you put them up in a desired safe place. If you choose to turn the fridge off itself, there is a switch, you can turn that off. Located right there behind that panel. Definitely want to make sure that all of your water plumbing is in the off position also. Again, never leave oil in the fryer vats. That will be a slippery mess. Also, don't want to leave the lights on, as that will draw the battery down if it is not plugged into any power source. Now the door does have a latch that you can connect to for there. Also, these tanks are fastened and strapped in place with ratchet straps. Definitely, if you don't want the color, change them out, but highly recommended just due to the size of the cage and the tank, keep it from wobbling around. Also, pin in the cage for safety purposes. Again, as always, make sure that all of the blinkers, run lights, and brake lights are always in operation. As well as, I do want to go over the wheels itself. So there is, behind these rubber caps, a grease zerk fitting that you will need to, once a year at least, apply grease with a grease gun, at least once a year. If you want to do it twice a year, you can. Depends on how much you travel, but at least once a year. You can get a grease gun from any local hardware store, or you can take it to a trailer company nearest you for them to do it as well. Once a year, just at least. Also, before you go into transit each and every time, make sure all the lug nuts on all wheels are always tight. All it takes is one lug nut to be loose, and you'll have a wheel that will come off in transit. It can happen. Trailers flex. and they flex to a point of twisting and turning, backing up and going forward in turns, that it's always highly recommended to check your lug nuts, as well as adequate air pressure in the tires for safety purposes as well. Also, make sure that you close down windows, and at least in one of these, in each window, you need to latch or put a lock in just one of the pins, just for safety, so that that door cannot come open. There is 2 latches, one on each side. All I'm asking for is at least a pin in one side to keep that latch, because as tight as that seal is, it could open up in transit if you do not have a pin at least in one side. If you want to do both sides, by all means, please do both sides. You'd also want to make sure that you disconnect your power source, your water source, your wastewater hose. Make sure that all of that is ready for transit and a safe ride. We thank you for taking the time to view this video. I make these videos to help educate a customer on what their new product is, and what to expect. Some customers have had this equipment before, and some have, it's a brand new thing. So, you know, the biggest thing is for me to be able to educate a customer on safety. If we can be of any help, if you have any questions or concerns with anything on the trailer, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than glad to help. I don't care if it's 5 years from now. If you have questions or concerns, ask. Please do not hesitate to ask. We thank you so much for your business and wish you the very best. Have a great day.